Hey guys, welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Becca and today I have my January book haul. So in the month of January, I did acquire 18 books. As usual, this video will be split into sections of the places where I acquired each book from. So the sections for today's video are going to be books that I bought secondhand, books that I received in subscription boxes, and books that were gifted to me. The majority of the books that I have to share with you guys today have been gifted to me by you wonderful, wonderful people, and I cannot thank you enough. The generosity of this community is overwhelming and I am grateful for everything that you send my way. While a book haul might need no other introduction, before we get started I would like to say that this video has been kindly sponsored by Skillshare, so thank you very much Skillshare for continuing to support this channel. If you are unfamiliar with Skillshare, they are an online learning community that are dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge and creativity. As we have just come into 2020, it is a time for learning new skills or going back and brushing up on some things that you were previously interested in but may not have pursued for quite some time. Skillshare have thousands of online classes and they pretty much cover every topic, but they are especially great for creative pursuits. One of my goals for 2020 is to keep on top of my business and keep on top of monthly product releases, because as you may know, I am now very recently completely self-employed. Now, one of the tasks associated with my business that I struggle with the most is photography, because I need to take pretty pictures to put on my website that showcase the products on there. One of these Skillshare creators that has really helped me with my photography is Tabitha Park, who has a whole range of photography classes on there. Quite a while ago I did take a class on flat lay photography. I am currently working through one on product photography, but she does have classes that cover every range of photography, from things that are going to help you get that Instagram worthy photo of your coffee to nature photography and even self-portraiture. So I would definitely recommend that you go and check her out. Skillshare is also extremely affordable. An annual subscription works out at less than $10 per month. However, if you don't want to make that leap right now but you'd like to see what Skillshare has to offer, I'm happy to say that in my description box I have a link to an absolutely free 2-month trial to Skillshare Premium that will give you unlimited access to everything that Skillshare has to offer, so you can have a look through that, find your groove and see where your creativity takes you. So onto the books. The first stack I'm going to be going through are the ones that I bought secondhand this month. The first two I picked up in a charity shop in York and they are actually proof copies. The first one is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This is a really beautiful proof copy. I believe that this is a young adult fantasy that follows a girl and her sister who have been dreaming about this carnival that only shows up every so often, and then one day they receive a ticket to go there. I know there's a guy called Legendary in this series, but I haven't actually read it yet. I do have the hardback of Caraval behind me. Interested in getting to this one because it is quite polarizing, but I pretty much picked this up because it was a proof, and whenever I find those in charity shops I do tend to snap them up. The second one was Prince of Fools by Mark Lawrence. I believe that this is book one in the Red Queen trilogy, possibly. I know that it's the first book in a trilogy that I think follows on from the Broken Empire, the first book in that one being Prince of Thorns. I haven't really looked into this trilogy too much because I do think it is somehow connected to the Broken Empire trilogy and I haven't read that yet, but I really love grimdark fantasy and that is something that Mark Lawrence is known for. The first book in the Broken Empire, Prince of Thorns, is known for being very, very gory and explicit in a lot of details, and while I haven't read anything from Mark Lawrence yet, I do think he's an author that I may enjoy. The last book I picked up secondhand I got off eBay and it actually arrived without a dust jacket, but it is a book that I have read in January and very much enjoyed, and that is Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is a children's story that follows 11-year-old Morrigan Crow, who is destined to die on her 11th birthday because she is a cursed child. Now, in this world we have a bid day where people from prestigious academies will bid on children to take on as their apprentices. Now, because Morrigan is cursed, she doesn't expect to be bid on, but she does receive a bid from Jupiter North, who then swoops in and takes her away before she is destined to die, and takes her to the wonderful city of Nevermore, where he enters her in a series of trials to gain entrance to the wondrous society. I don't read a lot of children's literature, you guys know this, but I was absolutely swept away by this story. I did originally get this out of my library, but when I realized that the naked covers are so beautiful, I did order myself a copy. These are very expensive on eBay, the hardback copies. I only paid £6 for this, which is probably why it arrived without a dust jacket. But as I bought it for the naked cover art, I didn't mind too much. A nice segue into the gifts I received this month. The first one was from the lovely Amanda, and that is the sequel to Nevermore, Wondersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow. I will just show you the naked cover of this, as they are so beautiful. But this one, I believe that this is the Wondrous Society Academy school place. I think that this one has a magic school in it, which I'm very excited about, and of course thank you so much to Amanda for gifting this to me. I will leave a link to Amanda's channel down in my description. A huge thank you to the lovely Brianne for gifting me Steel Crow Saga by Paul Kruger. This is a very diverse adult fantasy. I do not know too much about this, but two of my favourite booktubers, Piara Ford and Mel to the Any, have both read this and really enjoyed it. I will just read the dust jacket to you because it doesn't have much information on it at all, which is why I don't know too much. A soldier with a curse, a prince with a debt, a detective with a grudge, a thief with a broken heart, a band of rogues and royals who should be enemies might find a common purpose unites them, defeating an unstoppable killer who defies the laws of magic, and in the process they'll change their lives. So that instantly has me intrigued. As I said, two reviewers that I trust really like this book, so I think I may do too. Cody from Cody's Book Corner gifted me The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, and I feel like she's done this to torture me just because of how big this book is. But this is the first book in the Wheel of Time series. I have to admit, I don't know what this series is about, but it is up there with staple fantasy series that a lot of people believe that all fantasy readers should read. So naturally, I do want to give this a go at some point, but all of the books are enormous and there are like 16 books in the series. So I'm not sure when I will be starting this series and how fast I will progress, but I'm definitely glad that I finally own this, so at least making a start will be possible. Now, the reason that I don't know too much about this is that the description on the back is again really vague. It mentions the Wheel of Time and that the Wheel of Time keeps turning and that civilizations rise and fall. I don't know what to expect from this, but a lot of people love it, so I guess it must be good. The lovely Kristen actually gifted me 3 books, so thank you so much, Kristen, for these. I hope that I can read at least one of these sometime soon. The first one she gifted me is one that I'm very excited for, and that is Feed by Myra Grant. Now, Myra Grant also writes under the name Sean Maguire, but I believe when she writes under Myra Grant, she writes more adult books, and a lot of them are heavily science-based. So in this one, it is 2014 and humanity has conquered a lot of illnesses and diseases, including cancer and the common cold. However, a new infection has risen that infects the human brain and compels them to feed. So this is Myra Grant's zombie series. This is the first book in the Newsflash series. I've recently become very interested in science fiction that deals with horror or paranormal topics, but has a lot of science and logic behind it, and I think that this is going to fulfill that for me. She also gifted me The Bone Witch by Rincha Pecco, which is a series that I have had my eye on since the release of the first book, which I think was 2017. All I know about this one is that it deals with necromancy. That's pretty much all I needed to know about it to be interested in it. I think there may be a little bit of grey morality in here with it dealing with necromancy, and necromancy is a topic that I have not read a fantasy exclusively about, I don't think, but this is a young adult series that a lot of my favourite booktubers love, and I hope I will too. And the final book that Kristen gifted to me was King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first book in Nikolai's duology and the 6th book in the Grishaverse overall. This one follows my favourite character from the Grisha trilogy, which is of course Nikolai. I don't know what the exact plot of this one is because I'm already invested in the Grishaverse, so it doesn't really matter to me. I have heard quite polarising things about this one though. A lot of people gave it 2 stars. I'm just hoping that Nikolai is the shining star in this book that he always has been for me, and I'm not as disappointed as everybody else is. The lovely Linda gifted me Lady Hotspur by Tessa Grattan. This is one of my most anticipated 2020 releases. Thank you so much, Linda, for putting this in my hands. This is a kind of companion novel to The Queens of Innislea, which is a book that actually made it to my most disappointing books of 2019 list. The reason for that is that I had unrealistic expectations of what that book and assumedly this book was going to be going into them, but now I've read The Queens of Innislea, I think I may actually enjoy Lady Hotspur considerably more. So like The Queens of Innislea, this is a Shakespeare retelling, and I believe that the Shakespeare play being retold in this one is Henry IV. This follows 2 princes who are fighting over the throne and Lady Hotspur, who I'm assuming they're both in love with because it mentions in the synopsis that she does come between them. Tessa Grattan writes really slow, really intricate political fantasy that is very beautifully written. I was disappointed by The Queens of Innislea because I didn't realise how much of a slow burn and dramatic fantasy it would be, but I'm going into Lady Hotspur expecting it to be similar and not expecting too much action, so hopefully I won't be disappointed. Lexi kindly gifted me Romanov by Nadine Brands. This is a young adult fantasy retelling of Anastasia. Thank you so much, Lexi, for gifting this one to me. I had this on my wish list because I really love Anastasia. I currently now have at least 3 Anastasia retellings on my TBR, but I am literally a sucker for an Anastasia retelling because I have such nostalgia for the animated movie, even though I know that's a very romanticized version that takes the character of Anastasia and tells a whole new story pretty much. So I'm not sure if this one follows the Romanov dynasty and the fall of the Romanov dynasty, or whether this one will be following the more romanticized version of Anastasia, but either way, I love Anastasia and I'm very excited. And the last 2 books were very kindly gifted to me by Paige, the first one being The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. This one was not on my wish list, but it was a book that I mentioned I wanted to read in a video, and the reason I want to read this is that everybody was losing their mind over this book in 2018. This is a young adult fantasy that follows the Swan sisters, I think. They were sentenced to death for witchery way back when, and because of this, every summer they return, possess the bodies of 3 young girls, and drag 3 boys into the watery depths where they drowned. Very intrigued by this. I love me some witchy vibes, and it sounds a little bit like Hocus Pocus, which is one of my favorite movies. I also tend to quite like books that blend witchy vibes and contemporary stories, so I'm excited to see how it plays out in this one. And Paige also gifted me a 2019 release that I was very excited to get my hands on, which is Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. This is a diverse fantasy that follows a character who comes from a family of witch doctors. I don't really know the plot of this, but I do know that the key to the magic system is that you can trade years of your life to be more powerful, which is a trope that I've seen in a couple of fantasy books, and I do actually quite enjoy it. But I know a few people who have read this and really enjoyed it as well, and with this stunning cover and intriguing premise, I really wanted to read this one. And then the last stack of books we have, I received in subscription boxes throughout January. I received 2 in the Book Box Club, and the first one of those is The Pure Heart by Trudy Tweedy, which is a name that I absolutely love. As usual with subscription box books, I don't know too much about this, but it does take place in the Scottish borderlands, which is an exciting setting. I don't actually read too many books in the UK, so this one could be very interesting, and it does sound like a historical type fantasy, so I'm assuming that the setting is going to be really beautiful. The second book was The Good Hawk by Joseph Elliott. Once again, don't know too much about this. This one seems to center around the sea, and the main character is called Agatha, and it does say on the back that the people of her clan challenge her right to be there because of a condition that she was born with, so I think there's a possibility there may be some disability rep in here. The January Illumicrate also had 2 books in it. The first one is Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera, and I have to admit I haven't heard great reviews on this one so far. So Adam Silvera is more commonly known for writing gut-wrenching LGBT contemporary that really hits you in the heart. I have only read 1 book by him so far, but I enjoyed it. It was They Both Die at the End. Infinity Sun is Adam Silvera's fantasy debut, and I think it's an urban fantasy or a contemporary fantasy, and it follows 2 brothers in a fight for good and evil. I don't love contemporary fantasy. I much prefer like historical or traditional fantasy settings. I may give this a try. I'm waiting for some more reviews on this. Don't know how I'm gonna feel about this one, I can't lie. A book that I'm infinitely more interested in, funny because Infinity Sun, is The Sisters Grimm by Mena Van Praag. This is an exclusive Illumicrate edition with sprayed edges. In this one, we follow 4 sisters who I believe found each other at 8 years old, were separated when they were 13, and have to find each other again approaching their 18th birthday because they are set to meet their father in some sort of dreamland, I think. The most interesting aspect of this story for me, however, is that of these 4 sisters, one of them is going to die, but we don't know which one it will be. And I love me some tragedy in any type of book, so that is the one thing about this that has me really hooked. And the final book of this haul is Scavenging the Stars by Tara Sim. This came in the January Owlcrate. This is the Owlcrate exclusive cover. Strangely, for this month, I actually prefer the normal cover for this, which has really nice artwork of a girl on it, but this cover is pretty as well. This one is a young adult fantasy that follows a girl who is on a debtor ship, so I imagine she's a slave, and she pulls somebody out of the water who is drowning, which she thinks is going to extend her sentence on the ship. However, the man she saves actually offers her unimaginable riches and a whole new identity. So I like the pauper to princess vibe going on in here, because that is something else I typically like in fantasy. It's one that I know absolutely nothing about, so I'm not sure what to expect. but I have seen a few people talking about this on Twitter, so it may be a popular one. So those are the 18 books that I hauled in January. Thank you so much once again to everybody who has gifted me a book that I have hauled today. You guys are always so generous, so kind, so caring, and I'm so grateful for you guys. Honestly, like it blows my mind a little bit that people can be so generous. But that is it for today's video. Please let me know if you have read any of these books and what you think of them, especially if it is something like Scavenging the Stars that I know very little about. Please also don't forget that if you would like to grab your 2-month free trial of Skillshare Premium, the link to redeem that will be in my description box. And thank you once again, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video. But that's it from me today, guys. So please don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to. If you head to my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram, Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish body butter and candle website, the Instagram for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.